2017 Indian Chief Classic. For motorcycle riders, cruisers have an inimitable attraction all their own. The low, laid-back seating position, wheelbase as long as a locomotive and thumping V-twin engine gives every cruiser a specific style that appeals to a certain type of rider. The template for what a cruiser should like really started with Harley-Davidson, the epitome of American iron, as such bikes are sometimes termed. While Harley-Davidson does rule the U.S. market as far as cruisers and motorcycles are concerned, there have been attempts to usurp the king. But Polaris had another card up its sleeve, in the form of the recently revived Indian motorcycles. Based on the engine and some shared mechanicals from Victory, Indian motorcycles showed the slow but steady resurgence in the public consciousness over the years. Coming into 2017, Indian has indeed emerged as a serious contender to the throne, outparleying Harley in the cruiser game, with the Indian Classic Chief. We were given one of these cruisers, designed in the classic mold, recently, and put it through the paces. The rivalry between Harley-Davidson and Indian goes back over a century. Indian, back in the day, had a racing pedigree, and was known for its power and handling, especially on the board tracks. While Harley-Davidson may have set the mold for the quintessential American cruiser, Indian Motorcycles has been trying hard to out-Harley. And by some accounts, they might just have succeeded. The Indian Chief Classic is very much the cruiser in the traditional, long and sculpted, with flowing lines from the Art Deco headlight to the fully covered rear fender. Approaching the Indian Chief Classic, you are struck by how long the thing is, almost like a locomotive. It certainly feels like it as well, when you plunk your butt down into the 660mm tall leather seat. Getting both feet on the ground is important for some riders, and the Chief Classic delivers in this regard. Settling down into the well-padded seat, we were acutely aware of exactly how long the Indian is. With a 1,730mm wheelbase, there is a lot of machine in front and to the rear. Starting up the Indian Chief Classic was easy. There is no key, and the transponder key fob sits in the rider's pocket, with starting done using a large push button in the tank center console, which also houses the gauges. Bringing the Chief's engine to life brought forth the cacophony of noise that is typical of large V-twins, in this case a 1,811cc lump, 111 cubic inches for those of you still thinking in imperial, that quickly settled into a muted lope. Anyone hoping for the potato soundtrack typical of Harleys will be disappointed, because this melt is balanced. And balanced well. It island grabbing a fistful of throttle. There was a low-frequency vibration from the tips of the handlebars, and nothing else. The Indian's fuel-injected engine is mounted well in the frame, and there was no extraneous vibration to fatigue the rider on long rides, as we were to find out. Certainly no swift changes of lanes or slicing through traffic with this one, but this is not what the Chief Classic is designed for. Taking it out on the highway revealed two things about the Chief. 1. This is its element, and 2. This thing can move. While Indian Motorcycles doesn't publish a powered figure for the Chief Classic, torque is rated at 161.6 Nm at 3000 RPM. Takeoffs and roll-ons were immensely entertaining, the rush of torque from the V-twin making overtaking and getting ahead of slower traffic easy and effortless. Riding the country roads did little to upset the Chief's composure in corners, and the thing could corner. While we did manage to grind off a little from the floorboards, under 75% of our riding style, nothing touched down, even with a small pillion on board. Grinding down the Chief Classic will take commitment and a determined hand on the throttle, and it will handle such abuse, and while not asking for more, will take it in stride. This was, for us, a big surprise, as big cruisers really don't like being hustled through the twisties. But for the Chief, it felt like it was all in a day's work. Helping with matters are the brakes. ABS is standard. A 4-piston dual-caliper setup in front and a single 300mm disc at the back. However, despite the dual discs, stopping the Chief took use of both front and rear brakes. This was not surprising considering the length and weight of the bike, but if there was a case for installing a combined braking system that activates both the front and rear brakes, this would be it. As a rider that grew up using only the front brake, with the rear only used to settle the suspension or hold the bike at a stop, this required some readjustment of braking technique during the first few hours we had the Chief Classic. Riding the Indian Chief Classic did reveal another issue for the author, in that the gear shift and side stand are designed for a rider with a somewhat long inseam. This made for some strange contortions in leg position when trying to lift up or put down the side stand and while changing gear. Not to fear, as Indian has addressed this issue with a short-reach side stand in its catalog, along with an add-on toe shifter. There is also a short-reach seat listed, for those without gorilla arms, but we didn't have issues with the handlebar reach or layback. Aside from the full coverage fenders, the Chief Classic comes ready to accept an entire series of accessories from the official Indian catalog, as well as extensive coverage from the aftermarket. This includes ready mounting points for bagger-styled hangers and passenger seat pegs, as well as various types of seat. We found this out while waiting at a fuel stop, when a wedding entourage drew up and the groom asked to take a picture with the Chief Classic. We made the joke that this might be the last time the groom would have fun between his legs. Because what the Chief is fun. It is a bike meant to be ridden, to be taken out on the open and the scenery enjoyed. That the ladies found the looks of the Chief Classic welcoming is a plus point in our books, and for the lady riders, if you ride the Chief, rest assured that the guys will be very envious. Thank you for watching. Bye bye.